Good evening and welcome back to Open Line. This is a special segment that we do here on the Plus called Ask a Lawyer, where you, the viewer, get to call in and ask your legal questions. And tonight's guest is Kevin Kennedy, and the number is at the bottom of the screen, 737-PLUS, 737-7587. We had some folks that have held on since the break, so let's go to Gwen on line 3. Are you there, Gwen?
Hey, how you doing?
Great.
I got a question. My dad passed away in June of this year, and everything that he had, he left to my mother. And my nephew came into town, sold the house and everything that she had in the house, and took over power of attorney over me. He's just the grandson, and I'm the surviving child. So by law, legally, what can I do? Because, you know, he's threatening to get the law involved and get an injunction against me to keep me away from my mom and whatever, and I just want to know what my options are.
I believe the first thing, if it was my mother, I would go see my mother and let my mother. A power of attorney is a substitute with those legal rights, but it's not absolute. So if my mother were involved, I'd go see her and talk to her and see if that is really what her feelings were. And, you know, if there's a will, you want to see the documentation. If this nephew says, I've got power of attorney and you can't, then you say, why don't you produce that? Let me see it and get a copy of it, take it to a lawyer, and just see what rights were given to them.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's good advice. It's not always the legal answer sometimes. There's a human aspect of what we do.
Absolutely. You know, and that's one of the things that I've always admired about Nick. You know, he's going to take a creative approach, and it's not all about the law. It's about looking at the circumstances, making a good plan, working the plan. I like to consider the law and I consider the theory of it, and I'm not going to go outside the law, but that's really the key to all these problems.
No, you're exactly right. Okay, on line 5, we have Beth. Good evening, Beth.
Good evening, gentlemen. I wonder if I could ask 2 quick questions on different subjects.
Hit it. Go ahead.
Okay. The first one concerns a situation where I moved from the place I was living, and one of the people that lived there as well also moved different times. I moved first, and then I was told that he had sold his home, a unit in the building, and had moved out of state. And I did check the property assessor's files and so forth, and he did in fact sell his home. I was since told just very recently that he had moved in to the place where I'm living now, and he threatened me sometime back after I'd already moved. So the landlord is aware that there's a sort of a threatening situation, and there's other people involved. But so she didn't know. I've never specifically targeted him or anything, but I did ask her if he's living here now. I didn't ask what building or what unit or anything like that. I just want to know if it was in fact true that he's living here, because I can certainly find out.
I'd respond to that by saying this.
But I was told that by law, what was cited was some sort of provision of a landlord-tenant law or something like that. And I said, well, could you tell me what provision it is, because I want to look it up. And then they came back and they said, well, no, there's really nothing in the law. It's just, I think at first they said it was HIPAA or something, but anyway, it appears to just be their policy. And I'm just wondering what...
Okay, well, let me address it this way. The first thing is... if it is a stalking situation where you've had someone that is following you or threatening you or making you feel uncomfortable, I would document when that person was there. Obviously, if you've just rented this place, they have a right to rent, but they don't have a right to harass and they don't have a right to stalk. And with your documentation, you can pick up, go to the district attorney's office, sit down and say, this guy keeps following me, he makes me feel uncomfortable, he comes up behind my apartment, his apartment's way over there, and they'll issue a warrant and go to court and let a judge settle it.
I'm taking that very seriously. Every day we see this getting more and more serious in the courts. I don't know about Clarksville, but Nashville's really...
Well, here's what I see. I see more and more road rage. People are getting fired up over nothing, and then they're going to express it in violence, and everybody's extra sensitive to it. So I think the district attorney would be very receptive to what you have to share.
All right, on line 6, we've got Tommy. Tommy, you still there?
Yes.
Thanks for holding. What's your question?
I have a PA question. How would I start this? This lady, it's my girlfriend's mother. She is an elderly lady, and she has been went in the hospital, and they told her that she probably wouldn't make it through the night. And my girlfriend's had power of attorney over the medical part, as far as decisions on making medical decisions, respirators or anything. And on the power of attorney said no, she didn't want it. So my girlfriend went ahead and talked to her, and they went ahead and got this done. Well, the niece, my girlfriend's niece, stepped in, and she got in there and got in an argument, first one thing and another. And so she got the lady and got her out of the hospital, and put her in another hospital, put her in a nursing home. Then she got her and took her over there and got her to change the PA. And she has went and got everything changed over, changed insurance policies. She has went and she took the car. She sold the lady's house out from away from where it's at. I mean, I know it's probably a predicament question. You had that question earlier, but now what I'm asking is, the lady was on medication, and she was taking pain medication, nerve medication, and the medication they was giving her, and mouse relaxers and stuff like that she was on. This lady, she doesn't really have the right to sign anything as long as she's under medication.
Okay, you've nailed it right there. You have to have your mental faculties working for you to make a informed decision. This is what I want to do. And when they sign that document, there is a theory in the law that creates a fiduciary responsibility, and what that is, that's one of trust. And even if I legitimately gave it to Nick and say, Nick, look after my affairs over this $100,000 account, and Nick, in next week, we find out bought a Maserati with that, and I'd say, hey, that's gone outside the fiduciary. Nick, you need to pay that back because you breached the fiduciary by doing that. And that's what's happened here with this lady based on the facts and circumstances that you've relayed to us. You can go get a lawyer, file a lawsuit, get that money paid back, have it paid back in the court, restored back to the original person. You
know, capacity is something that we see a lot in the law.
Yes.
And the example that you gave earlier about go see your mother, a lot of times people want to make changes, but mom is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer, and capacity is a big issue.
And we had this question today. People fade in and fade out. Do they have lucid moments? The law in Tennessee, if mom and them understand during those lucid moments, they can write a will during that time. And you could be mentally competent today and a week later not. So that's why good lawyers do make a difference.
Absolutely. All right, Anthony on line 7. You've been holding for a while. You there, Anthony?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Go
Thanks
right
for
ahead.
calling.
Okay. Thank you all for your input. I would ask you to walk with me for a minute. In 1998, I was involved in a real bad car accident that left me in a coma for like 3.5, 4 months. I woke up partially paraplegic on the right side of my body with what you call TBI, traumatic brain injury. Okay, now here we are. That was in 98. Now here we are in 2016. I'm doing good. I still walk with a little limp because I'm partially paraplegic on my right side, but I'm doing a lot better. I have upper and lower extremities on my right side. But over the years, I got a little bit more strength. So I was going into school. I've been going to the school over a year and a half, 2 years, going to pick up my daughter. And I'm going up, it got about 6 or 7 stairs.
Yes.
So I'm using the left side railing going up to ambulance myself out, help me get all the way to the top floor. But I get all the way to the last stair before I'm at the top, and the banister came out of the ground.
Okay. Well, that right there in itself is negligence on that landlord. Now, you got a couple of steps you're going to have to move forward. Just because you get hurt on someone's property, if you're an invitee, there's a different standard. But just because you get hurt there doesn't mean it's absolute liability. But if we can prove that banister, it was a defect and it was a hidden defect, and no one knew that, and you relied on it, and as a result of that negligence you were hurt, then you've got a case. You really need to prove that the landlord knew that was defective and they didn't repair it. And so you might go back the next day and take some pictures. If they've repaired it, well, hello, come in. They've already made the decision. This was a dangerous situation, and I think a lawyer, will make a claim and you'll get some money.
And you know, one good point I think to make as well is that, you know, we have that eggshell plaintiff doctrine. And just because he was partially disabled, you know,
Yes.
they might argue, well, that wouldn't have happened if he wasn't disabled. It
Yes.
doesn't matter.
That's true. And you know, if the law says you got to take you like you are. So if you have a pre-existing injury, it's an aggravation of a pre-existing injury. And so we deal with that all the time. The insurance company's going to say, hey, the guy was already hurt. We don't owe him. He's not hurt anywhere. And we'd say, oh, we take issue with that. And so that's why your lawyer advances your cause. And believe me, the insurance lawyers, they're going to be advancing theirs.
That's exactly right. Okay, on line one is Patricia. Good evening, Patricia. Are you there?
Hello?
Hello, Patricia. Go ahead.
Yes, I was calling about my husband and I sold this young man, a car. And I wrote up a little contract that he's going to pay $500 down and $500 every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes.
Well, he left town.
And he didn't pay for the car.
When he left town, he didn't call, he didn't do anything. And so
he didn't pay for it either, did he?
$1,500 for the car we trusted him with.
Yes. Okay, here's what I would dance in that zone. First off, you know, you can sell a car. It's always dangerous to do that. You know, you'd rather them go to a little loan company and let the loan company deal with the liability of that car. They have the forms. They know how to put the liens. But if he took that car, and in a breach of trust, you may talk to the district attorney on the breach of trust. If you'd put in that contract, he can't take this mortgage property out of state, you might be able to try to get a criminal warrant for him for taking mortgage property out of state. I don't really like those selling the cars because the vast majority of the time, the reason they buy a car from you because they don't have credit enough to they're not credit worthy, and no one will dance that, and 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work. So I usually recommend anyone doing that. But you know, that's why we have those laws, and we had one within the last month that was actually indicted over that.
Oh, wow. Up there in Clarksville?
Yes.
Okay. Well, guys, we're going to have to take a break right now, but if you're on the phone lines, please wait. We'll be right back to take your phone calls, and you can call the numbers at the bottom of your screen, 737-PLUS, 737-7587, taking your phone calls with Kevin Kennedy. We'll be right back.